My umbrage is that people believe that they can read the Bible and walk away with a sound, deductive analysis of what the author has been inspired to convey to you. That will never happen in the lay community. I'm going to repeat that again. That will never happen in the lay community. Because the Bible is a history book, and it requires science in order to understand it. And the reason that it requires science to understand it, brothers and sisters, is because of, once again, a term that you're familiar with called historical distancing. There is a gap. There's a gap between us in modernity and the principles of the Bible. And when I say the principles of the Bible, I'm talking about Moses, Jeremiah, Isaiah, Yeshua, the apostles, the disciples, everybody in the first century period, Second Temple Jury, First Temple Jury, pre-exilic, post-exilic. The objective is to close the gap. It is to understand what these people are addressing, what the issues are in their social environments. We say this all the time, and I have concluded that it mostly falls upon deaf ears. And the reason that it falls upon deaf ears is because every one of us have been programmed by somebody. You have been programmed. Whether you believe it or not, I am telling you, you have been programmed. And the person or the people who have programmed you have been your parents, your grandparents, they have been your spiritual advisors, your religious leaders, whatever the case may be. Because you were programmable, that means that you were naive, you were imperceptive, your biblical acumen was at zero. And so, being very impressionable, you absorbed all of this information. All of us have been victimized by this type of training and leadership, etc. No one is going to go through life unscathed by some form of indoctrination, theological indoctrination. And the theological indoctrination that we have received over the course of our lifetime, brothers and sisters, have been outside of the Sinaitic framework, the covenantal framework of Sinaiticism. That is a fact, easily proven. And so what happens is when people come into our community, since we have acknowledged that and we have made the corrections and the adjustments, we've left that in the past and we've moved on. People come into our community and they want to relitigate things that we have already addressed, things that we have been able to, by the blessings of Elohim, acquire resources, information, and insight to help us to grow, to help us to progress beyond the basics, beyond the fundamentals, to help us gain biblical insight with absoluteness, with absolutes, to concretize the message of Elohim without debate and nonsensical discourse. What happens, like clockwork, in modernity, people are coming from social media. They're coming from social media. This is where they're cutting their teeth in theology, especially some form of Hebraism. And they want to bring those arguments and those questions into this community. When we respond to them, typically in the process of us responding to them, folks are not listening. What's happening is they are preparing rebuttals as the disquisition is going forth. So when the questions are raised in the review, we say we've already gone over that. We discussed that. We proved that. We litigated that. And what you will always hear is, no, you didn't, no, you didn't, no, you didn't. And everybody else is saying, well, yes, I'm a witness to it, I saw it. This happens across the board, brothers and sisters, in every ecclesiastical institution because it's human nature. It's human nature. I bring up Piper and Carson because they've used terms that I think are very germane to how we are to learn the Bible. You're not going to learn the Bible from anybody, brothers and sisters, who is not a scholar. And I want you to listen to me. You all are, as an example, listening to, the gentleman name is a Rakah, a Gathering of Christ, the Christian churches or something, GLCC, right? Who has put out in the ecosphere that God's name is Ahia, as an example. Has a nice large following. And when people come into our community and we say there's no such a term as a proper noun and nomenclature as Ahia, this is a verb with a preformative. That's basic Hebrew grammar. Basic. Here you have a black Hebrew Israelite teacher who don't know basic Hebrew grammar. Yet people follow him because they don't know basic Hebrew. And so when they come into this tabernacle and we address it, now people become salty. They become upset in their feelings, and then they want to try to argue it. So then we begin to ask for something very simple. We ask, where's the evidence? Where's the data to support your position? Data is never forthcoming. They leave. You never hear from them again. Or when data is submitted, it is terms that they don't understand, terms that they use that they have not properly evaluated or analyzed or studied. So that fails. Here you have another black Hebrew Israelite group called IUIC, who says that the new moon is a full moon. Is Ray here today? Okay, all right. Ray asked a very good question, He says, Aria, with your scholarship and so forth and so on, and then we look at other scholars, right? Why would we lean towards you for direction and for resolution on a particular topic? That's an excellent question. And here's the answer to your question. Read your Synaptic Life Bible Study lessons. Read your Synaptic Apologetic School lessons. Because in all those lessons, you have what's called an antithesis. These are scholars who disagree with me. And this is me engaging their premises and deconstructing it and leaving it up to you to determine whether or not I approve my thesis or not. This is the reason why in a lot of your examinations, you'll see one of the questions has the author proved his thesis. I'm the author. I know scholarship, I know theology inside and out, brothers and sisters. Doesn't mean that I'm perfect. I'm still learning and growing. But the fundamentals you have to master before you start teaching. I wish I had that insight before I started. In other words, there were errors and mistakes made earlier on because I was following those with whom I thought were well-versed in the text. And they were well-versed to a point. But there are certain points that we need to move beyond. And those are critical points, critical insights. And you're not going to get there with a layperson. All of the black Hebrew Israelite teachers that I know, that I've come across, that I'm familiar with, they are not scholars, not one of them, not one. They are preachers, and anybody can preach. You simply approach a topic with a little bit of charisma and something that sounds good, something that sounds, I guess, a little commonsensical, if you will. Move your crowd. That's some great preaching today, and you ain't learned nothing. Because scholarship is rigor. Scholarship is difficult. Scholarship is hard. Scholarship takes years to refine, brothers and sisters. Last week, I presented an organically developed and organically drawn supposition and thesis to Jermaine's position, because he was the impetus behind there are two types of divorces in the Bible. There is a putting away, which is a type of divorce, and then there is Keterut, which is a type of divorce with a certificate. No such a thing. Does not exist. And Jermaine didn't make that up. He picked that up from somebody else. So last week, as we do with all the lessons, we presented the antithesis. And I'm going to do that again as a review.